Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order. Thank you, Mr. Crosby. I have a motion moved by John Eccles and seconded by John A. Bell. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey hereby returns to open session of Council at 10:07 a.m. Any comments on the resolution? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. There you are. And Mark, I'll just say that only that item that we went into closed session to discuss legal items with Saugeen Valley Conservation was the only items that were discussed. Have the minutes show that. So that moves us down to consent. I have a motion moved by Mark Rapke and seconded by Bev Cutting. Be it resolved that items A1 to C1 inclusive contained in Part 1 consent agenda be adopted, and further that authorization be given for the actions to be taken as may be necessary to give effect to the recommendations contained therein. Any questions or comments on that, on the consent motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried as well too. Mark, I'll ask you to send out those resolutions to give effect. And if I can get my computer to cooperate here, that'll move us on down. Communications from Mayor and Council. Is there any communications from any of the council members? Councillor Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to report, we had an excellent craft show, very successful. The Newstead Rec Committee, I brought a bag of over $3,500 in today. Including children and the vendors, we had probably in excess of 1,700 in attendance. It was very successful. And yesterday, you were probably there, but the annual pork and kraut that the Lions had, I don't know how many, but they certainly had a huge number because the lineup was back to the man door around the curve of the arena and nowhere to park, so it was very successful as well.
Any other councillors have anything they want to bring forward? Remind us of? One thing I would like to remind council out there, there is a group that is working with the municipality, speaking of craft shows, putting on a Christmas crafters event. It's not just a one day, but every Friday from, I think, this Friday through till the middle of December, lining up crafters in the what is called the Rona building. They have it set up. I was talking to the individual that's getting set up. She's had tremendous response and is looking for very good, and it opens this Friday, November the 7th out there for a number of crafters around the Christmas theme. So if anybody is looking for that unique Christmas gift, stop by the Rona, and if I'm correct, 3 to 8 every Friday evening. And that's being kicked off. There was a lot of buzz at the craft show in Newstead from a number of the crafters that were very pleased to hear about it, and we're going to be joining in with it now going forward. Carol.
Well, I just wanted to comment. I see in the vouchers there's an ad for that Christmas craft. Whoever is doing the ads maybe should consult with Eunice. If you look at the ads that have been out, they're black background with white printing, and you have to look with almost a magnifying glass to see where it's going to be held. I think they need to they have large letters, Durham Christmas Market, but they need to put in large letters as well at the old Rona building, because you barely can see where the thing is going to be held. So I would just suggest that somebody speak to them, and I mean, Eunice puts out really good ads, and if they're doing it, they at least need to review what they're putting out there and put it in larger letters. Also, there's been people, in fact, one came in on my Facebook wondering where to get in touch with people with regard to having a booth. So that information isn't really out there either, Mr. Mayor, so.
All right, we will, Larry, we'll see if we can make that connection and continue to make it even better. Bev, did you have anything?
Not on this particular, not on the
No,
craft market.
just
again.
council
Yes,
updates.
there is on November 15th at the Durham Town Hall, there is going to be a fundraiser for the group that is trying to raise money to pay off the ERT and the judicial review for the wind turbines. It's from 6 to 11. It is a spaghetti supper, all-you-can-eat spaghetti supper, homemade buns, dessert tables, coffee, tea. There will be wine and drinks available at a very good price. Tickets are $20 each, and there's also going to be some games and a fun time afterwards. And I can get tickets if anybody is interested, and there's only going to be so many tickets sold. I believe it's 80 tickets are being sold. So if anybody would like tickets, you can see me after.
Okay. And Bev, did you want to give a slight update to our response? You and I both attended the Elmwood Firefighters Awards. I think we might have did a little bit at Committee of the Whole, but these cameras weren't running for
Yes.
everybody to hear that out there.
Yes, I can. I do not have all the names in front of me right now. I did before, but we did attend the Longtime Service Awards, recognition for the Elmwood Fire Service, and the mayor was there, and also the mayor from Dave Inglis from Brockton was there, and we handed out 3 5-year awards, 1 20-year award, and 1 40-year award. And the 40-year award went to Doug Hamill, sorry, and he is now retiring. But it was really a nice evening. There was a good turnout. The spouses were there also. They were given a carnation for their participation and just being a partner to a firefighter. There's always, that jolt when the phone rings in the middle of the night, and when I said that, they all went, yeah, and they got that. So they were given carnations, and we handed out certificates and pins and gifts to the longer standing firefighters, and then we had some refreshments, and it was a very nice evening.
Yep, certainly was, and pleasure to be there for that as well too. And craft show in Newstead, tremendous uptake on that. I don't know whether it was the weather or the weather north of us, but everybody wanted to get away from the snow and get down to Newstead and out of this into the banana belt. But it was kind of interesting seeing some of the cars come in with 3 and 4 inches of snow on them, and
That was mine.
absolutely none on the ground in Newstead over the weekend. So very good, and the pork and kraut dinner was, from my understanding, was well attended. You made mention that I probably was there, but I was not there this year.
I wondered, I didn't see you.
Family the thing had come up, so we didn't get there. My apologies to the Lions Club out there, but I know that they would certainly put on a great show, and I know enough of the Lions Club and where to find it. There's probably a little bit of sauerkraut left over that I can get from somebody's freezer that they always keep on hand and sell. Mr. Rapke.
I think most of the people at the table here are aware there was a municipal election a week ago. I didn't choose to participate this time around due to personal obligations, but
I hope you voted.
Yeah, I did do.
Yeah, you participated.
In fact, Mr. Marshall was here voting at the same time that I was here, so he can testify from that. But I did want to take a moment to congratulate, first of all, everyone that put their name forward to run, whether a councillor or for the mayor or deputy mayor. Having been through this myself, it is a pretty big commitment, so it's good to see that there's so many people in the community that are willing to put their time forward to do things in the community to make it a better place to live. second, I guess I'll congratulate all of those who were successful. I won't go through them all. I think we all know who they are. We would have all been watching with bated breath. So congratulations to those that were successful. I guess the two of us that won't be here are lastly are myself and Councillor Mollison to myself. So I'll take a moment to congratulate the councillor. He's been here a lot longer than I have, and for his time here. So congratulations on your time here, Dave. I know that you've put a lot of your personal time and effort into this as well. So, and I guess lastly, I'll thank staff, because I know that there's a lot of extra work when this comes up, and I think it was all hands on deck on election night for everyone to be here and help out to make that a success, so that all the people of West Grey that wanted to vote were able to do so. So that's what I wanted to pass on. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Bev?
I just wanted to also mention a Christmas trade show that's going on November 22nd from 9 to 4 at the community center, and that is being put on, I believe, by the Recreation Committee. It is a fundraiser for them, so that is 9 to 4, November 22nd at the Durham Community Center also.
Okay, thank you. Any other council members have any news or celebrations? Okay, well, that brings us down then. Thanks for the updates from everybody. And the one last thing out there is that the Christmas parades will be starting around the 1st of December for the most part. Christmas parties will be starting soon. Could be tomorrow, yes, Bev, but for anybody out there that is looking for the Christmas parades around the 1st of December, I think it's December 5th or December 6th is the Durham, and the 7th is Newstead, and then the surrounding communities, Mount Forest and Hanover and Markdale, have parades as well too. So, but on that 6th and 7th, those are the two that are right here in Durham, so, or in West Grey, in Durham and Newstead. So anybody needs to participate or is looking to get in on the fun and folly, put on your thinking cap, and we'll see you on either the 6th or the 7th. Or you can always do both days. Bev?
Yes, just a note to that as well. It's the West Grey Parks that puts the floats in these different parades. If anybody would like to volunteer to help with the floats, if they could speak to me, or I will give a schedule as to when the floats will be being put together and where they're being put together, so anybody can come out and help. That would be much appreciated. More hands, light work, etc. And it's always we have fun, and it's they always do a great float. So,
Thanks, Bev. That's it for communications. We have a couple of delegations. We have one delegation that has withdrawn this morning. Brian Henderson from the Durham Area Citizens for Endangered Species, DACES. They've withdrawn their delegation today and will be coming. They indicated that they would like to come back maybe in December for a delegation and to speak to council. But we do have Ann Hagedorn here this morning. She is number one on the list, and it's at 10:15. I'm sorry, Ann, we're a couple of minutes over, but Ann wants to talk about the Words Aloud Festival, and I'll turn it over to you. If you could, because we are monitored, if you could go to the podium, and there's the microphone there. Not only will we hear you, but everybody in West Grey that tunes in will be able to hear you as well as see your smiling face. So the button on the right-hand side, there you are. You're live now, so whatever you say is being recorded. Okay. Just got to warn you.
Just thank you very much for having me here this morning, and congratulations again after all the hard work leading up to the election and to the winners. I'm following up with our meeting that we came to earlier in the year to thank you very much for your support of our Words Aloud Festival. We are doing very well with our advanced ticket sales, and because of your contribution to the festival, our grant, we got all of the grants that we asked for, which is really great. So Friday evening, we kick off the event with your esteemed mayor reading a poem to begin the festivities for the weekend, so we cordially invite you to join us for that. And I did want to follow up with the councillors. We have some complimentary tickets for our Sunday matinee, and as well our agenda for the weekend, if you would like to join us for any of the other events. So thank you very much, and we'll report back in to the successes after the festival is over.
Well, thank you very much, Anne. Look forward to, and I would encourage any of the council members, not only with the free tickets on the Sunday, but at any time. I know when we were, I'll probably say this, and I'm going to stretch it out and say on behalf of all of council and a lot of people out there, when we were in high school, poetry probably wasn't high on the list, but as we become a little more mature, and the way that the poetry is presented at this function, I think you'll find it a lot different than your grade 10 English teacher was reading poetry and the effect that it has on you. The evening is very good, and I'm very humbled that you have asked me back again to do a reading, and I'll try to reach the bar that you set. And thankfully it's not that high for me as it is for the professionals that are there.
We're always very pleased with your presentation. That's why we keep asking you back.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
Okay. And if you want to hand those out, that'd be great. Yeah. Thank you. Sure. Yeah. Thank you, dear. Okay. Excellent. All right, Mark has just stepped out, but I believe we have Robert Robertson here to, we have a second delegation on this morning. Mr. Robinson wants to speak about council's willingness to issue a building permit on an unopened road allowance in West Grey. So, Mr. Robinson, do you want to have your piece? Yeah, and if you could use the podium too as well, that would be great. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, my name is Robert Robinson, and I'd like to put a proposal into council about a building permit on property I purchased on the 10th Side Road. Now, excuse me, I've talked to different ones in here in the council chambers about a building permit, and one says they can, one says they can't. I'd like to know what's going on.
All right, that question, it has been the experience of the municipality of West Grey and a number of the municipalities that formed before that, being Normanby, Elgin, and Bentinck, that building permits weren't issued on unopened road allowances for the fact that if there's a house on there, it has to be on a maintained road to be able to supply emergency services, among other things. And if the individual wanted to go ahead, upgrading the road so that it could be Four Seasons maintained would be at the expense of the property owner to upgrade that road to come up to a full municipal standard for Four Seasons maintenance.
Well, how far would I have to upgrade the road? Just from to the property or what?
Now that is, that's usually what it is, slightly past the property so that for the most part our snowplows can get down and turned around, be able to push the snow far enough past the entrance and be able to turn and go back out again. Because as you know, that side road's not maintained through the winter.
Okay, now what about an entrance permit? I was told I need an entrance permit. There's 2 laneways already into the property. Now, what about an entrance permit?
That, I'm going to turn and look at Ken on entrance permits, as he's quite a bit more experienced on and is the one that issues those entrance permits. So Ken, can you speak to that?
Yeah, I don't think there's any trouble with an entrance permit if he had the go-ahead to, from council to proceed with the opening the road up for his building permit, but we're not allowed to give entrance permits out on open road allowances currently, so.
And I think, Bob, what you're speaking of is, yes, there probably is an entrance into the property, and you're right, I think there's 2 entrances, as I know where the property is, but those are not off an opened road allowance. Those are on unopened, are more towards a field entrance. They may pass our requirements for an entrance. I think it is, 6 meters and has a culvert and, you know, those aspects of it, that it meets the drainage and whatnot. Field entrances are basically a part-time entrance into a field. Not as heavy a restriction or requirements as what is needed as a residential entrance. And if you were going to have a building permit, you would need an entrance permit. It's, you know, to have the guys go out and take a look, and maybe that entrance would meet and qualify for that. And that would be through the roads department to be able to give you that description. But it would be getting permission from council to upgrade the road at your expense. And I believe you're looking at coming in from the 4th and coming north, as opposed from the 6th coming south. And
yeah, from the 4th to the property.
yes, and at that point, you know, I think my best thing for proceeding forward with this, if council is entertaining it, if you would, you know, get a hold of Ken and work with Ken on what is going to be required from the roads department as far as the upgrades, and maybe that will determine your decision on whether you want to go forward with it. I'd ask that Ken bring us back maybe at our next planning meeting or the planning meeting after meeting with you on what it is going to cost to upgrade that, and then that may, as I said, will determine how or if you want to go forward with the project. But I'm pretty sure I'm interpreting council here that that's been the precedent that we've had on a number of occasions in Bentic, Glenelg, Normanby on those unopened road allowances. It has to come up. If we're going to be taking our plow down there, it's at the property owner's expense to upgrade the road to be able to handle that plow.
Yeah, okay, now, even if I just use the road, leave it as non-winter maintenance road, okay, now, can I put a trailer on that property?
At this point in time, we do have a trailer bylaw. If you were going to put the trailer on the property and leave it on the property, it would have to comply with that bylaw, and that's a $1,000 a year permit to have it there. And Mark, further?
Yeah, I've discussed that matter with the trailer. Mr. Robinson has asked that question to both myself and the building department. The trailer bylaw does require a property to be on a year-round maintained road in order to get a permit for a trailer. So it would not be permitted on a road that is not winter maintained year-round.
So that would be on the same thing as well, too.
Pardon?
So that would be on the same thing as having the road upgraded to be a year-round road if the trailer was going to be there year-round. It would be treated the same as a residence.
I see. Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So in before you leave, set up a time to come in and talk to Ken about what it's going to take to upgrade the road, what we need on that. Fine, Ken, being able to set a date with that, and we can look at it going forward on what the options are there.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Very good. Thanks, Bob.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Business arising from the previous meeting. As I said, the 1045 delegation has withdrawn. They'll try to make another appointment at a later date. Any business arising from the previous meeting? Seeing none, then we're down to staff reports. And welcome this morning, Carrie. Ms. Mighton is in to give us the Finance and Treasurer's report. And let me just find it here. I think the first one is on the accounts, as always. And the vouchers. So we've had the vouchers in our possession, have come out. Is there any question on the voucher report at this time? Sorry, Don? Councillor Marshall.
Yeah, just on page 1 for the postage for the flyers for the Christmas market and the Durham Christmas market ad, is that money coming out of the booth rentals? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions? Comments? Seeing none, then I do have a motion moved by David Mollison and seconded by Mark Rapke. Be it resolved that the Director of Finance Treasurer be authorized to pay the accounts presented as voucher number 20, 2014, the Municipality of West Grey, in the amount of $426,449.39. Any questions on the motion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. The next one is Carrie's looking for advice. We have the Chamber of Commerce is requesting some financial support from the municipality under for their Frazzle Ice event. Shouldn't that read 2000? Yes. They have information from the 2014 and requesting information for the 2015, February 14th to 16th. I think in the report there, Frazzle Fest 2014 event, but got to look into the future. That should be 15 that's there. Any questions or further comments on that? Carrie?
They have also requested insurance coverage similar to last year, so I will be getting their, last year we appointed them as a committee of council, the members on the Frazzle Fest, so I'll get their information for that as well, if council is willing to do that again.
Any comments? Yes, Councillor Cutting.
I just have a question. When I was reading through it, they said that the sculptors and a few of the other participants stayed with them last year and that they were not able to do that, therefore they were requesting more. Are they aware that the Varney Inn is not now there's no hotel? I know, I don't know that maybe they're aware of that, maybe they thought, oh, they're aware.
They're aware, I'm pretty sure they're aware of it. That's where they have their meetings, so
Okay,
I'm
good.
pretty sure they're aware of it.
Just thought maybe we should give them a heads up if that was the case, but that's good, thank you.
Okay. Yes, the Varney Inn has been a mainstay for any numbers for people for overnight stays, but we certainly have a large number of bed and breakfasts in the area that can supply overnight accommodation as well too. Is there any comment from the representative from the chamber about this?
It was quite a successful event last year. It's a time when it's hard to attract tourists to this area, and I think they do a wonderful job, so I think they deserve our support.
Deputy Mayor Bell. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I don't disagree with Councillor Eccles' statement. I'm just wondering, where is the money going to come from? And the question is this seed money that's going to be repaid? Or is this a straight-out grant to an organization that was not budgeted for early? And maybe I'll ask, is there any money left in that little fund that we have, grants to organizations?
There is probably a little bit left in there, miscellaneous grants to organizations. They have not requested seed money, they've requested a grant. So I'm not anticipating a repayment. They haven't indicated that at all. And this will be a 2015 budget item probably too, unless you're going to prepay them for this year. It'll be part of your 2015 grants to organizations.
Okay, was that answered?
Thank you. Yeah.
Councillor Marshall. Don?
Good comments, John. And good questions. I see in their letter that the motel, they're budgeting maybe $500 and then a generator. So I'm not sure where they're coming up with $2,500 for a grant. And yeah, I'd like to see some sort of a payback, a loan payback, maybe also.
Okay, take that. Mark, Councillor Rapke.
So we had a similar request, I think, last year for a different group in Newstead. There's a festival, and it had to do with quilting, I think. I can't remember. And it was a similar thing where they were trying to get a festival up off the ground. It came to economic development, and the request was for seed money, and what the outcome of that was, the offer was to provide not a grant, but money that they would repay back. I think that group chose not to decline that, but the reason I bring that up is it's a similar request, just a different organization. So it may be worth, I guess, discussing, certainly at budget time, but that we get a lot of applications here, so it would be good to come up with some sort of, let's say, a similar assessment or way that, different organizations, I guess, aren't getting different treatment, I think. So that'd be my.
Okay, any further? Yes, further, John? Deputy Mayor Bell?
Just one more comment, and I'm just thinking outside the box here a little bit. What happens if we were to say granted them the $2,500? I don't know how much is in that little fund, whether it's $500, and then they'd be required to pay back, say, $1,000. Just going to put it out there. I mean, therefore, it's only going to cost us $1,000 or $1,500. I'd be in favor of doing something like that, but I think that, as Councillor Marshall has said also, that maybe there needs to be a little bit, shall we say, incentive to, yes, we can grant them some seed money, but I think some of it needs to be paid back.
Have they put together any type of a business plan? Most of these festivals, whether it's a homecoming, any other type of festival, I don't see it in the next day or two becoming the Salmon Spectacular, but the the craft show in Newstead. These festivals generate a profit, and those profits are reinvested back into the municipality. Is there any idea of generating a surplus with this, and how that may be reinvested back into the community? Or if it would be reinvested back into the community, might lead us to make an investment of some sort into a project like this? I'm going to start with Mr. Eccles. John?
Well, I suggest that we just ask them for their accounting of last year's festival, because the BIA and the Chamber each put in, now I'm going from memory and that's dangerous territory for me. I think they each put in $5,000 last year, and they broke even or close to it last year, but they will have a summary of what they spent last year, and I think if we got that from them, then we'd have some ideas what they're looking at.
Deputy Mayor Bell. John?
I agree with that. I think they need to bring that to council in person and tell us exactly what they're thinking with that information, and come and be a delegation and make a presentation.
Bev?
I didn't you're doing a good job today.
Yeah,
I
right on the
didn't
ball.
understand, I thought that the festival was free, so how did they break even? Like, did they charge for events last year? Like the carvings and things like that? I thought they were all just,
I think they had some businesses sponsor.
oh,
You know,
sponsorship.
so there was
Okay.
advertisement and money was
Yeah,
come from businesses on
because
investing.
I couldn't recall anything that was charged to the public to
No.
view or see, so it was sponsorships, okay. Well, I think that's a good idea then, have them bring a breakdown of last year's and see where it was, and
So can you, given direction, Carrie, could you get back to the chamber, the individual, I'm assuming it's Mrs. McLeod, and say we need a further breakdown of this for consideration in our 2015 budget before we go forward? And, yeah, Mark is suggesting, you know, put the opportunity out there for them to come as a delegation, whether it be into December if they have some of that information gathered for us. Okay? All right. Any other questions on the Frazzle Fest? Seeing none, then we have two collaborative Trillium agreements, one from the West Grey Soccer Club. Okay. That needs authorization for binding signatures. Is there any questions or comments on the recommendations here on the Trillium grants? Okay, so I'll lead into them. I have the first one. Oh, sorry, Don? Go ahead, before I read, get on to the...
Is there any budget, top-end budget on this project? Would they not have there is a top-end?
Go ahead, Carrie. On the soccer one first? Yeah,
Soccer, there's a...
yeah, go ahead, Carrie.
They are looking to apply to Trillium for $117,300. That's the ask from the Trillium with the, they have 39,117,386. So 156.8 is their total budget. The ask from Trillium 117.3. They've got some in-kind contribution from a contractor and then some money from the soccer club.
You got a mic down there?
156.
Bev's not as easy
sorry.
putting it on for you, Carol, as you are for her.
156,800 is the
Thank you.
total budget.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions before I introduce the motion? So a motion by John A. Bell and seconded by Don B. Marshall. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey authorizes the Mayor and the CEO, Deputy Clerk, to sign the collaborative agreement with the West Grey Soccer Club for submission on an Ontario Trillium Foundation grant for construction of a new, smaller soccer field. And this was in connection with the presentation that Randy Corfield made 2 months ago here to expand and do upgrades to the soccer pitch and put in a smaller, basically youth field to be able to accommodate the pressures around the soccer pitch. If I'm not mistaken, part of the increase in the cost, Don, so I think Randy, when he was here, was talking about 75,000. In this request from Trillium, we're looking at putting lights in on the main field down there as well, too. So that's taking up a fair chunk of that increase from the 75,000 up to the 156, whatever it is, for the lights on the field down there to be able to maximize the usage, I guess. Okay. Councillor Lawrence. Carol?
Well, I just want to say, I think we're very fortunate that the soccer club is taking this on. In a lot of municipalities, it's the municipality that puts in the soccer fields. And this serves a lot of kids playing that, and they're, they're putting a bulk of the money in this, and if they're successful in their grant. So I say kudos to them for going ahead with it and providing another service for West Grey.
Okay. All right. Any other comments on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That one's carried. Okay. Now the next one is the Durham Ag Society. And this one is for enhancements, without any other word, on the heated viewing area. Looking for Trillium on a small capital grant here. Okay. Any questions on this one before I introduce the motion? So this is moved by Carol Lawrence and seconded by David Mollison. Be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of West Grey authorizes the Mayor and the CEO, Deputy Clerk, to sign the collaborative agreement with the Durham Agriculture Society for submission on an Ontario Trillium Foundation grant for equipment fixtures to enhance the heated viewing area at the Durham and District Community Centre. Questions on this? Mr. Eccles. John?
How much is it for?
15,000.
Yeah. And that is supplying some enhanced lighting, I believe a couple of viewing screens, possibly some audio connection from the scoring sound system in there. A few of those types of enhancements is what's being looked at. Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Technology for council members. Each term of council, we were going to redo the laptops. Most companies out there, I understand it's about a 3-year. We extended out to at least 4 years to match the term of council. So Kerry was looking for an idea of what council members would like us to see with enhancements. And Kerry?
Yeah, previously, our discussions, we were going to mirror the what the county was going to be providing. So they have changed directions and they're going with iPads. So I'm just looking for direction that you want to continue with the laptop in lieu of now the county changing and going to tablets. So I'm just sort of looking for that. And that whether the two previously the county reps we didn't give laptops to, but are you looking for a laptop then being provided from West Grey because it'll be different technology than what you have provided by the county? So just sort of they've thrown a bit of a curveball into our mirror the county plan. So just looking for some direction so I can get those ordered and up and ready before the December.
Bev. Councillor Cutting.
Are iPads not a lot more expensive than a standard? It's, what do they call when they're not an iPad? They're the same thing,
Like a
but
tablet.
a tablet. Are iPads not more expensive, or? Not really?
It depends on the amount of memory you're getting but they're all run about the same, marginally maybe cheaper.
And they are less than a desktop or a laptop.
Again, it kind of depends on what you're getting it's comes down to, how you work instead of, but yeah, the costs are, you can get, because it's not that those are full-on, laptop that it's, with lots of memory, it's not like you're using, we're not getting the top end model. It's, so you can find similar pricings. But
I suppose the one thing that would be nice with the smaller models, the tablets, is that it's less bulky, less to carry around. Probably you can slip it in a case and it's a little safer. These do get heavy when you get some paperwork and stuff, but other than that, the only thing about them, the tablets, is that they'd have to be a decent size for the old people on council, and I'm speaking of the others, because it's nice to be able to read if they're too small, it's like trying to read, reams and reams of paper on my phone, which I've said to Mark is like, So it would have to be a 13 or 15 inch, I think,
So then you're getting about the same size?
Can't get that in the tablet, 13 inch? What's the largest?
Not an iPad.
Not in an iPad for sure. It would be like an 8 or a 9.
Yeah, see, that's too small.
Maybe. I don't know what.
And I can say that I sit on
That size, John?
Yeah, a little bit bigger, but I sit on a board where we are supplied with Samsung tablets, and I find that going from the laptop to the tablet, it's no different.
It's no different, so the
I
lettering
mean,
is there, and you can,
Yep.
as long as you can see it and you're not trying to, read, because we get 30-page documents that we're supposed to be going through, and it's very tiring on a small contraption that you're having trouble reading.
You're reading it on a BlackBerry or an iPhone?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really,
You got about 3 lines
Yeah.
instead of 3 paragraphs that you're looking at. I think what's been identified at the county, if I could, what is in a laptop and what the capabilities and have in a laptop. As counselors, we're a consumer of information, not a creator of the information. So the tablet, brings that up and gives you the information. We don't generate the reports as much as staff needing laptops, I think, to be able, if you were generating it, you probably would go with a laptop, but if you're consuming it, I think that that's where the county has come from. Counselors, the iPad is more than sufficient to be able to supply us with that consumption that we have.
Right. And I don't know anything about this.
Carol?
But is
Thank
it
you.
not, is it not easier, for example, like I don't have this hooked up to internet at home because I'm on dial-up, but I could get an iPad easier connected to my phone plan. Oh, no, because they're with the Apple.
No.
No. Well, I don't know, so how?
You still need to go to the hotspots, whether it's at an arena,
Still have to do that.
at the library, sit in front of the municipal office here, which is a hotspot,
So there's no way for me to connect, like my phone at home gets the information when Mark sends it to me, and I can read the 30-page documents on this. But, is there not a way to do that with a tablet?
Doesn't matter what the device is, they're all the same. As long as you're connected, that's the key. So whether it's.
So why am I connected with this, but I can't get a,
You can do the same thing with this. The device is irrespective. What you're asking about is immaterial to
It can do okay, well, I just wanted to see shut up, Tom. I'm just trying to see which is going to be more efficient
be
to try
quiet.
to use at home.
So I guess it's to your point is if you're a consumer of information, so a couple of things that I'll tell you. One is the screen is smaller. So if you're a person, and I don't know how everyone uses their device, but if you type, like correspond with people, you don't have a keyboard. You're pecking, okay, on the screen. So half your screen now is keyboard, and the remaining piece, you see your email. So you're dealing with a smaller screen. There's no question it's a lot smaller, but I think, to the county's point is, how do you use the device? If you're just going to take your email and read it, I think that's all, then that is really all you need. If you correspond to people using email, that's going to be a lot more difficult because the keyboard is a touch screen. It's just like a big phone. And I don't know if it will have the full suite of Microsoft on there, like Excel for timesheets, an example. I don't think you would do that unless you purchase an additional license, which you do have to with your software, but that's probably all part of your overall thing. So one of the things to consider is there's always a lot less functionality on the iPad, I would say, as a general rule, but that's probably something you want to work out, but it is all how you use it, which one's better. If you're just using it as a reader, that probably is all you need. But if you want to use any functionality, then you're better with the laptop.
Bev?
What about the tablets that have the attachable keyboards? And I don't think they're that much more, but then that turns it into sort of a mini desktop that because I do, and I'm sure everybody does, uses it to respond to people who email us, et cetera, et cetera. But you can get those that attach on.
Yeah, you can get attached, the county will be getting a separate keyboard attachment for the iPads. Every software or a hardware provider has their version of a tablet, whether it's Acer, Asus, Lenovo, they all have them. It comes down to software, Apple operating system versus like your typical operating system that you see on here. But yeah, you got to watch sometimes some of the sort of tablet, laptop conversion type ones. You start getting into pricier models, but they all offer different ones. It's just how you want to use the information or process it.
John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, Mr. Hogan, Director of IT at Grey County, did send an email where he said that the iPads would be cheaper than a laptop model. They've tested them, they're very happy with them, so that is what is going to be issued to Grey County. And we get a choice of phone also. One's a iPhone 5, i5 iPhone, and the other two are BlackBerry models. I personally am going to bite the bullet and have a new learning curve whereby we're going to go with the iPhone, and because it is all interconnected then, and it'll be 4 years of frustration maybe, but anyways, that's what's going to happen. So going forward, I think it's important to keep up with technology, and if we somehow could make them compatible, I guess, between West Grey and Grey County, I think that's maybe the way to go, but it's at everybody's discretion. So.
Okay, Bev?
Can we piggyback on the county purchasing these so that we get a better price?
Yes.
So if we can order that makes sense to me then, if we can, and then you're connected through the same server, and
You'll be able to show me how to operate.
I can show you how to operate. Me? There's my teacher.
Okay, any other, Mark?
And so the fact that 2 of council members out of 7 would have that you two would have those devices.
Yes.
And I think understanding how most people use it on council, it probably makes sense to stay compatible. Like John's saying, the only problem is then council is completely incompatible kind of with the rest of the organization, but I still think that email-wise, it's okay, and I think that's really documentation transfer is all that's going on, so that might make more sense, and it's definitely a lot better if you're going to get the iPad to get the iPhone, because once you kind of make the Apple transition, you want to keep everything the same to make your life a lot more pleasant experience.
Well, if it was about making life a pleasant experience, the question is, you certain we'd be here? Yeah, Carol?
So we will be getting the keyboards that can be attached.
That's what
I mean,
The
tag
county is
along.
offering, the county is offering that, and I think, on a personal basis from using one,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, the idea of having it on the screen, by the time you get to the second paragraph, it starts getting a little oily and fuzzy on the screen on you as well, too. Okay. We do have one member of the new incoming council, and this is a councillor-to-be, Mr. Hutchison. Do you have any comment on what your preference? You're going to be one of the ones using it, so.
I'm not an iPad user myself, but my children are, so I know a little bit about it. But that would be my recommendation. If you're going to go to iPads that you buy, you get a keyboard with it, because otherwise it is cumbersome to type a lot on those things. So that would be the only recommendation. I think it's a good idea to be compatible with the county if that's the right direction they're going.
Okay, thanks, Doug. Do you have any comment, Mr.?
I just have one. That's your first vote and recommendation, Doug. Welcome.
Just a slight clarification. That may be his comment, but it's not his vote. Ain't taken that yet. Larry, you have any comments?
I just one, Your Worship, and that was I was trying to catch the treasurer's attention because I was provided with one of these devices which I use when I'm away, so I don't have to pay those exorbitant fees when we're on the road. I don't want to say it's a Rocket Hub because that's a Rogers thing, but Bell does have a stick here that provides internet access, and I'm just wondering if it's wireless, might that assist Councillor Cutting in her issues with connectivity? We do have a couple of these. I was provided with one because I am on the road for council with council business, and I do take my laptop with me to stay in touch, as well as my BlackBerry. So I was just wondering whether that might be a resolution to some of the issues in regards to connectivity when you're on the road. I don't know. I was just I know it works when I'm away, and it does work at the house, but we do have high-speed internet at the house as well. So anyway, just as a comment for maybe a potential solution for one of the issues that I've brought forward. Thank you.
I think Councillor Cutting has tried a couple of those, but, you know, from far back in the woods where she lives, my understanding is she still has to climb up the telephone pole to answer the telephone. Is that correct, Mrs. Cutting?
Pardon? I was
Yes.
listening to a more intelligent conversation here. What were you saying? I have tried the Bell and Rogers and in my computer to try, and this was a few years ago, and it would allow me on, but then every so often it would just kick me off, no matter, even if I stood right by the window, it would do that. Now maybe now with some other towers, I mean, that was about 4 years ago, I think, when we first got these, so maybe I would try it again and see if it would help. And I also know that and Mark just mentioned it, that there's a way to take this, because this does allow me to get on and get my emails and everything, and tether it to the computer and use this. Now I'd have to have a little lesson in that, Carrie. But there is a way to do that, because my daughter does that when she comes up. She has an iPhone and she's doing university assignments. She can actually tether her phone and use her phone connection to give her high speed on her, or not high speed, but faster on her computer. So there is a way to do it. I just am not sure. But maybe through that we could figure that out so that I can get on there and do it.
Getting back to the question that Carrie asked, not on connectivity or anything, what devices are we going to connect? I'm sensing through the conversation here that the iPad staying the same as what we have with the county and using their buying power to go with the iPad, unless there's something that I'm missing here. Seeing none, I would suggest, Carrie, direction would be to contact Brian or Tim or Jeff Hogan at the county and say that West Grey would like 5 iPads, I guess, and don't know whether. And the same package with the keyboard.
It's a 16 gigabyte, I think, with keyboards that they were buying, I believe. But we'll just sort of just hop on there, purchase them.
Okay. All right. Anything else? I think that's it for your report, Carrie. Any verbal additions there?
Just a reminder to submit your timesheets. This is pay week, so.
Okay. Get those timesheets made up for Carrie's perusal. Okay. Is there any other questions with Carrie? Seeing none, thank you very much for coming in, Carrie, and being with us. I believe then that brings us down to Public Works. And we'll scroll down to that. Ken. First one on Ken's report. Welcome this morning, Ken. The first one is on a bylaw, and it was dealing with parking on road allowances and whatnot in the winter months. And this was dealing on a number of our streets, but a couple specific, and comes on advice from the police services and from the chief about wording to be able to make that an effective bylaw. Anything else, Ken?
Just that the police chief has asked that include the last line there where it states that and includes the area between the lateral property lines thereof. Apparently there has been some problems with controlling the parking of vehicles in the wintertime without that wording in, so he is asked to include that.
Okay. Sounds fine. Don, Councillor Marshall.
Have we had people go to court and fight it on that issue?
I don't know, Don. There was a matter brought before us here from a resident and concerned with the parking of vehicles, and I did contact Chief Berger, and I believe this went to police services also, and was discussion there, and he feels that if he can get this line included in it, he can control the parking of vehicles in the wintertime on side streets.
This isn't to do with the truck parking down behind Durham Furniture?
No.
Okay.
No. Really want to get specific. This is a specific street. What brought this to light was a specific street in Newstead. And residential vehicles in an area is where it is. I'm not certain whether it has gone to court, but from talking, conversations with the chief and his conversations with the Crown, the way the bylaw was written, it was more from the Crown. He said, and reading between the lines, I think the Crown has said, have the officer, that been, a couple of them have been done up, and the Crown has said, yeah, we're not going to go any further. Have the officer withdraw that ticket until you get this part straightened up. So that was what I was reading out of the conversation anyway. So it hasn't been thrown out, but it hasn't been really 100% tested yet either. So that advice. Go ahead, Don.
So I guess for clarifications, they're saying you cannot park a vehicle between the from fence to fence. The bylaw reads that you cannot park on the road, on the side of the road in the winter hours, but this now reads that you cannot park within the fence on any municipal right away. Is that correct? So there's a boulevard, say in front of Dave's place. Dave's, the boulevard there that you can be off the road, off the street. But this now reads that you cannot park anywhere in that municipally owned area.
Yeah, that's correct, Don. The boulevard is where the snow is collected from the plows, so
Yeah.
this is going to solve that issue, I believe.
Yeah,
Yes.
all right, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, that'll come up to change in our bylaw then. The second one was changing the bylaw, or renewing the bylaw, I guess more so than changing it. Our provider for soft drink services has been Coca-Cola for the past couple of years, and Ken's bringing it back to renew it with Coke. Carol. Okay.
Thank you. In looking at the bylaw and the agreement, energy drinks are allowed, and we did not allow energy drinks on the last contract because they are not good for kids. I know that Saugeen Shores had an agreement with Coke, and they also took out energy drinks. They're unhealthy. They can cause all kinds of things. At one point in time, after the last contract was in place, I noticed energy drinks in the vending machines in Durham, and I asked Randy what they were doing in there, and because we don't allow them, and he said, well, the teams bring them in anyway, and I said, that's fine. If they're bringing them in, that's their prerogative, but we are not promoting energy drinks. So I would like to see the energy drink section of this agreement taken out. Talk to a lot of people, they're not good. They're not good for kids. Drinking them up and then out playing hockey. And, yeah. Everything else is fine, but not the energy drinks.
Okay. Ken, does you see a problem with doing that?
No, I will contact the Coca-Cola company and representative, and
Right. Yeah, I
we can do
believe
that.
it was either taken out of our last contract or it was written in that energy drinks were not allowed. So you'd have to go back.
Yep.
Okay.
Mark, the way that is, no, I guess, any other comments or to what Councillor Lawrence is asking? Seeing Mark. Councillor Rapke.
I'll just say one is, I don't know what energy drinks is comprised of, but I don't think Coca-Cola is the best for kids either. There's 13 teaspoons of sugar in each can, so I'm not sure that saying one kind of drink is worse for them. Anything Coca-Cola that's filled with sugar is probably not good for them, so I'm just confused on the line, that's all.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to debate this one way or the other, or are we okay with? How do we do it this way? The way the bylaw is presented, do you want to make an amendment to that bylaw when we get to the bylaw section, Carol?
Sure.
Okay. We'll go that route. Let's see how the amendment goes. All right. Anything else on the Coke bylaw? Anything else for us, Ken?
Well, that's all I have for today.
Just wondering if you got any update. Pretty good weather out there. We do have a construction job going on in Newstead. Bit of an update on that, just for council information.
Yeah, they had a couple of lost days last week, but they do plan on having the underground finished today, so by the weatherman out there, they should get a full day's work in. So
that's very good.
And then from there on, it should be a matter of pit run, A-gravel, and curb, and proceed with the pavement, hoping the weather holds.
Still got our fingers crossed on that winter wonderland staying north of Georgian Bay for a while yet. Let's keep it up there. Okay. Any questions of Ken at this point in time? Don, Councillor Marshall.
It looks like the soccer club is moving ahead with their end of the soccer club. The stormwater, are we going to be ready for any work in the spring when they want to start?
We're working with the engineer to see if we can change the way the piping is, Don, hoping to make an agreement with the Durham Furniture to take it northwest to College Street, across their yard there where they have the lumber piled, so we wouldn't take the main part of the flow that way, then we wouldn't interfere with the soccer pitch at all. So that's in the works right now. I haven't got the final report from WSP, but we do have an engineer working on that to see if that'll work. Looks very favorable this time. So.
Did we camera the pipe going underneath the soccer field?
Yes, we did camera it. We got a large root out of it. It's certainly helped with these heavy rains. I've monitored it there when there's been no backflow of water sitting on the road there this fall, so it certainly helped that way too. Yeah, there was some blockage.
Yep. Thank you.
Councillor Lawrence, Carol.
Will that report also be addressing the Station Street drainage?
We never asked for that yet, Carol, but we can ask the engineer to see if we can put that in another report, yes.
If in fact one tied into the other, it would be good to know that. Or another solution for Station Street.
Okay.
Okay, we'll follow up on that one, Ken. Good. All right, any other questions of Mr. Gould? Okay, Larry, your report is on the electronic sign?
That's correct, Your Worship. Provided you with a copy of that I sent out to the Economic Development Committee. One thing that did not go through is the layout of the sign. This is a prospective layout that was discussed based on my understanding, excuse me, that's a layout based on my perspective understanding of what the Economic Development Committee was considering, along with, I believe, Council hopefully would also support that type of a layout for a sign. The proposed location would be out here at the corner of the property. There's several options that were put in by Mr. Cox of Cox Sign when we talked about some options, with a low starting at about 27,843 for a two-sided monochrome unit, to a high of approximately 35,511 for two-sided three-color combination plus HST. I would encourage council to look at the larger one. The larger the pixel, the larger the coverage area that you do have, and therefore the easier it would be to read as you're driving back and forth across in front of the municipal office here. Also go with a three-color sign. It allows us then to make certain words more or less jump out at you rather than the same color being on the whole area, and also have a protective cover on the signs as well is a good idea in my opinion, and that's why I included it in the potential estimates. It does range. There's I believe 5 options on those two signs. In order to get power and internet access to it, I spoke with a provider of electricity. This gentleman's familiar with the outlay of the office here, as they were the individuals that installed the original electrical system here in the municipal office. That estimate came in at approximately $6,600, and I received it the night of the committee of the whole meeting, which is why it wasn't included at that point in time. But I also noticed that there was one item lapping. If we're going to spend this much on electronic sign, we may want to put a surge protector on it to protect it from any kind of electrical hit or surge to the system. I asked for that to be put in, and it was just missed, so I caught it. And but I am strongly encouraging that that be added as well. So to put in a commercial size protector, we would have to add another item to that of $950 plus tax. The third cost that would go along with the installation of the sign would be a location sign permit from the county. Based on the proposed size, we've estimated the cost to be approximately 5.8 meters square, and since it's a dual-sided sign, it would require payment for both sides of it, which would roughly work out to approximately $250. So those are the items we have. I've submitted the current outlay. If there's any issues or concerns that you do have, I look for direction from you. We are late in the construction season, so I do not know if we could install it this year or whether wait for the new year, but that's my report as it currently stands, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that council may have pertaining to this issue, Your Worship.
Okay, thanks, Larry, for that. Any questions at this time? We've had a fairly thorough discussion on it and looking at that towards putting this in. Bev, Councillor Cutting.
So, was this not, this was the Economic Development Committee that wanted to pursue this along with council. So should this scenario not go back to Economic Development and have it discussed there and see what they feel as well? Obviously, they're thinking in terms of dollars, I would assume, like committing something.
At the committee meeting last week, I indicated that I had sent it to them but had not heard a response. But due to the timing, I was asked to bring this report directly to council. I've not received any input back from the Economic Development Committee, but that is the report. You have a copy of what I sent to them, which is virtually mimicking what I sent to council.
Right, but I'm assuming that they're, because this was brought forward from the Economic Development, that they are planning on putting some money into it? Or am I wrong? Are they just asking for this sign?
The intent from the Economic Development Committee was that they would pay for this out of the Economic Development Reserve. It would be an opportunity for us to get the message out in regards to better let people know where the office is, to allow us to put out pertinent and timely information. And to a comment of one staff member, that would have been great because we had the advanced polls located here, and it would have been a great opportunity to put it out. So it's an opportunity to get the majority of people, which, by the way, after some checking by the Economic Development Committee, ascertained that we have greater volume of traffic on a daily basis back and forth here on Grady Road 4 than we do actually on Highway 6. So that is where the situation stems from, and that's the information.
Councillor Rapke. Mark?
So, Larry, I think you've done a great job of actually getting all the data put together, because that really was, I think, the request of the Economic Development Committee, so that we could evaluate the benefits of the sign versus the cost. So I think we have that now. From my own perspective, I think given the time of year it's coming into budget deliberations is a pretty significant cost. Yes, it can be come out of economic development. It's certainly not in this year's budget, but I think it just makes sense to fold this into the budget discussions for 2015 through either Economic Development Committee. I mean, they have to propose their budget, so maybe, like Bev was saying, it makes sense to go back there and be part of everyone's budget submission. I don't know what anyone else is thinking.
Anybody? Deputy Mayor Bell. John?
Just one little question for Mr. CAO. Larry, did they, was there any timeline mentioned as to when they could do it or how long they needed in regards to the manufacturing and direction of the sign?
The hurry for this fall from the contractor that I spoke to was to get the cement base in the ground. Once they got that in, it was I believe a 3 to 6 week wait on the sign itself, which is, by the way, a two-sided sign, so you'd be able to see it from both directions. So other than getting that as an estimate, once we get the order in, it would be that long in order to process it. But they were confident that they could get it in this year, provided we didn't all of a sudden get a winter as we had last year. We've already made it past the first week in October, which is when winter arrived last year. Yes, at this point in time, you're still confident when I was speaking with him that he could put it in this year, if that's council's decision to do so.
Okay. Go ahead, John.
So would it be beneficial then to have an economic development meeting right away? And I'll look at the chair. We should maybe do that in the next couple of weeks to get our ducks in a row for this.
We can get everybody corralled. I think we can. We can, I guess, go back and have the meeting, and probably, I guess we should make it just a budget meeting too. We can get that before the next 4 weeks, because at that point I will no longer be the chair. So it'll be a scheduling exercise.
I understand that. I was just wondering if and it would be a short meeting unless there's a number of items that I don't know about, but it would be a short meeting if we could do this in order to get this to the next council meeting, to maybe pass it in order to get those bases in the ground. That's what I'm thinking more than anything. The base in the ground.
Sure. But we can definitely have the meeting. I guess we'd take it back to economic development, and they can make the recommendation one way or the other, I guess.
Okay.
Try and schedule that.
Don, Councillor Marshall.
Well, I don't think this is a time-sensitive project, and I think that budget deliberations are coming up, and they'll be going on in December, January, February. This is a good amount of money, and it should come back through the economic development, that if they want the project going, and then if it passes through out to council, and the project can go in April, May for next summer.
So I'm hearing, Mark, that we should have an economic development meeting in the next 7 to 10 days. Check your schedule and see what we got, and give us an idea before the next council meeting.
Sure, yeah, I'll work with everyone to see if there's a time there.
Yeah, good point. Most of us will be here next Monday, so we'll find out then. That might be the best day, Mark, is planning. So 3/4 of the committee will be here that day. I'll let you check on that. Carol? Councilor
I was just going to say on a little bit different issue, but still signs, we could perhaps be making better use of the sign that goes with the Rona building and the Rona property. I'm sure that the Christmas market will be on there for the next 7 weeks, but that would catch people going north and south I don't know who would, I know it's not electronic, so I don't know who would change it, but that's an opportunity there that we've always said we needed a sign on number 6. And we've got one now, so we could use it to advantage for various things happening in West Grey.
The tallest guy on council gets to change it.
Yeah, that's the mayor.
Duties as assigned, they keep changing. Okay. All right, we'll take a look at what we can put down there and start taking more advantage of it as well, too. All right. So, Larry, what we'll do, see if we can get a meeting in the next week with Economic Development and bring a recommendation back, and then be able to look at the timeframes to address Councillor Marshall's point, do we put it in as a 2000, have it in the economic development budget, or is there a possibility with the extended summertime weather here in November that we could do it this year? But we'll see what happens with that meeting, hopefully next Monday. Mark? Okay. All right. Any other questions of Larry at this point in time? Larry, anything else?
One other point, just an update on the pedestrian bridge from last week, is that the payment has been made for the bridge, and that the Director of Public Works and Infrastructure has been coordinating getting it transported from its current venue up to the park in Neustadt within the next couple of weeks. So that's just an update to council on that matter.
Okay, yeah, sorry, Larry, you had that on your thing here. That's very good. Look forward to getting that up here, and Ken, you're coordinating that for us, so thank you. Okay, is there no other questions for Larry? Bylaws, Mark. We have a couple on the agenda, so if we send a couple each way, we're able to get those recommended. Ms. Cutting.
Sorry, I just have a quick question for Larry while we're doing this.
Larry?
Larry, there was an ad put in the paper in October for applications for new committees for the new term. When does that ad close, and have we had a favorable response, or?
Your Worship, through you to Councillor Cutting, that ad actually closed on October the 17th. I have a number of interested parties that have gotten back to me, both existing board members, board and committee members and volunteers, as well as several new expressions of interest as well. We're formulating that. And once we put that together, we'll be getting council's interest in the different committees they wish to sit on, and then we'll be putting a proposal together based on that for the first meeting of the new council.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
You chose the committees.
all right. If there's nothing else for Larry, we'll go down to bylaws. Number 73 is a bylaw for a temporary use zoning bylaw on a garden suite for Browns. This has been recommended by the Planning Committee for approval. If there's no questions, I'll introduce the motion. It's moved by Don B. Marshall and seconded by John A. Bell. Be it resolved that bylaw number 73, 2014, being a bylaw to enter into a temporary use zoning bylaw for a garden suite, Pauline Brown and Sharon Brown, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, deputy clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Any questions or comments on this bylaw? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. All right. And bylaw number 74 was a bylaw to amend bylaw number 133, 2004. This is dealing with parking, regulation and control of traffic. So we have a motion moved by David Molson, seconded by Mark Rapke. Be it resolved that bylaw number 74, 2014, being a bylaw to amend bylaw number 133, 2004, being a bylaw to provide for the regulation and control of traffic, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, deputy clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. The only thing I can say is in 2014, obviously, we didn't do as much work as we did in 2004. This is 133 bylaws that we're just down to 74 now in 2014. We're getting more efficient, I guess. Any comments on this bylaw? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Bylaw number 75 is an agreement from the province for court security and prisoner transportation. One thing, and it's not for a whole lot of money, but it is a transfer payment to offset our costs, $3,000 to $4,000 a year for that prisoner transportation. I have a motion moved by John Eccles and seconded by Don B. Marshall. Be it resolved that bylaw number 75, 2014, being a bylaw to enter into a court security and prisoner transportation program agreement, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, deputy clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Is there any questions on the motion? Don, Councillor Marshall.
Is this something new, or did our police force do this before? We wouldn't have done court security before.
That is, we did do court security. We're in a shared court security with Hanover and Saugeen Shores. For a number of years, we supplied the officer at the Walkerton Court, where 99% of our cases are heard. So we supplied the court security officer. 3-4 years ago, Hanover took that part of it over, and we brought the court security officer back onto duty here in West Grey. It was a special place that we had. We let it go, but at that time there was a retirement, and the court officer came and was qualified to come on duty and came on duty. At the downloading time, when court security and prisoner transport 2 years ago was changed, where the jail in Walkerton and a couple of other ones around were closed, and all the officers that were transporting prisoners from Penetang Machine there was a program put into place to offset some of our costs going forward. At the time when we really didn't, because all the prisoners were being transported by the province, and our court security officer had terminated. We didn't think 2 years ago that we qualified. We found out that we have. So I guess I'm being very blunt, for 2 years we missed out on this funding, because it's a 2-year funding cycle that you've got to sign on to it. So when we found out that, yeah, there was, I mean, it's not a lot of money that we've missed out on, but it was some. So that's why it's here today for us to connect into.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on this one? I'll call the question on the motion then. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. The next bylaw is number 76, is a bylaw to enter into an agreement with our present, renew our present provider for soft drinks. So I have a motion moved by Mark Rapke and seconded by Bev Cutting. Be it resolved that bylaw number 76, 2014, being a bylaw to approve and authorize the execution of an agreement between the Municipality of West Grey and the Coca-Cola Bottling Company, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that said bylaw be signed by the mayor and the CEO, deputy clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Comments on this? Councillor Lawrence.
Thank
Carol.
you. I'd like to move an amendment that no energy drinks be allowed as per the Champion Plus agreement. No energy drinks be allowed in the West Grey facilities. However,
Okay.
for sale.
All right.
Energy
So
drinks for sale,
Sale.
because if somebody brings one in, we can't help it. But
The mover and seconder, Mr. Rapke and Ms. Cutting, is that a friendly amendment to you? Mr. Rapke, it's your motion.
So, Carol, I agree with what you're saying in terms of these aren't good for kids, but when I look at the list of things they're selling, nothing except water is good for them, right? Anything Nestea, Arizona iced tea, all the Cokes, Pops, they're all just garbage, essentially, apart from water. And I know Monster, the other beverages do have some caffeine additive, but I have this debate a lot of time with a friend of mine who's a doctor, and he's actually researched it because he wants me not to drink coffee, and he drinks energy drinks, and I tell him he's a hypocrite, but he assures me that the caffeine content is equal in those drinks. But I guess the point, for me at least, is they're available for sale. The province is not stepping in, no one's stepping in. I agree with what you're saying, Carol, but I certainly feel it's a parent's responsibility to govern what the kids are eating, just like they shouldn't be stuffing their face full of French fries and gravy for hours on end either. I don't think, I just personally think that should be freedom of choice for the individual as opposed to us mandating what they can drink. And that's just my feeling on the subject, sorry. I agree with you, but I guess I disagree in a way.
So, Mr. Mayor, it sounds like I'm moving an amendment. And I do want to say that many of the kids are not under their parents' supervision when they're getting stuff out of those vending machines. And your doctor friend may have a different idea, but if you look at a lot of the literature, there's a lot of problems being caused by kids drinking excess of energy drinks and then going out and playing hockey and so on. So my point is that we are not providing the opportunity in our facilities to purchase energy drinks. So I guess I am moving an amendment to that, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I'm still going to, because I didn't quite get that, is Mr. Rapke accepting it as a friendly, but...
Yeah.
His head went both ways, so I'm not...
That's right.
Yeah. So in 4 years, he's become a
Well,
very
let me
good
ask you this.
politician
Yeah,
then.
see, so it's 4 years, they still have to ask the point. What if I say no? What happens then?
Ms. Lawrence will move an amendment, we'll vote on the amendment.
If I say no or if I say yes? Oh, she'll move an amendment, okay, right. yeah,
If you
okay.
say no, it's not a friendly, she will
Okay.
move it, and if she gets a seconder, then we'll vote on that amendment, and then how that vote goes, then we'll vote on the bylaws presented.
So you're making it complicated, in other words.
Yeah.
You could vote against. If it's a yes, you could vote against.
Yeah. I'll just take it as a friendly amendment.
Okay? Okay, it's a friendly amendment that energy drinks not be provided for sale at our, in our West Grey facilities. And are you speaking about just the vending machines?
No.
Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. So that is in there now, that the energy drinks will not be for sale. Okay. Was that amendment in? Bylaw goes forward as amended. Huh? Yep. All right, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of the bylaw?
Just a second, the bylaw reading.
Which excludes the energy drinks, basically.
Bylaw number 76, which is as amended, excluding energy drinks. That was the amendment. Okay. Bylaw number 76 is in place. Mark, I'll ask you to take the vote.
Deputy Mayor Bell.
No.
Councillor Cutting. Councillor Eccles.
No.
Mayor Eccles.
No.
Councillor Lawrence.
Yes.
Councillor Marshall.
No.
Councillor Mollison.
Yes.
Councillor Rapke.
No. Defeated. To reintroduce.
Okay. The bylaw as amended has been defeated. I would ask, Mark, that you introduce the original bylaw then.
I have to get a motion for that.
Can you make one up quickly, or? Yeah. Bylaw 76 as original.
Yeah, I'll do that whole thing, basically.
Here, stroke those two out. Stroke out the amended part. Okay, do you want to take just a couple of minutes and Mark will redo the motion
Might be easiest.
and the resolution? I've put a couple of strokes in there, but Mark said he wants to go and do it. So he'll redo the motion up and bring it back. Okay? Mr. Well, not without a recording individual, no. No, we'll wait until Mark brings it back and introduce the motion, and then we can have comments on it. Good. I'm going to say, if you want, we can take a couple of minute break if you need to stretch. Don't get too far away, because when Mark's back, we're going to bring this forward. Okay, call the meeting back to order. Short recess. So moving on with business, I have a motion moved by John Eccles and seconded by John A. Bell. Be it resolved that bylaw number 76, 2014, being a bylaw to approve and authorize the execution of an agreement between the Municipality of West Grey and the Coca-Cola Bottling Company, be now read a first, second, and third time, passed and numbered, and that the said bylaw be signed by the Mayor and the CEO, Deputy Clerk, sealed with the seal of the corporation, and be engrossed in the bylaw book. Comments on this motion? Mr. Eccles. Councillor John.
It says in here that if we sign this agreement, we have to sell at a minimum Coke, Diet Coke, Coke Zero, Sprite, Canada Dry, Ginger Ale, Dasani, and Nestea. It doesn't say that we are required to sell energy drinks. If the arena wants to have its own policy stating that they don't sell energy drinks, it should come back through the rec board, and that's where it should be, and not in this.
Thank you for that. Okay. So we'll leave it with that information and understanding of the bylaw. There is specifics in there about what sells, and any additional would be a request and or a refusal, look for direction from the recreation boards at that point in time. Okay? Any other comments on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? Declare that carried. I don't believe we need anything else for closed session. Question period. This time we always offer an individual in the audience 2 minutes for question on anything that's been on the agenda. Yes.
Who provides transportation for prisoners? Does our own police do that or somebody else?
No, that's predominantly supplied by the province. And I mean, I'm thinking about 99% of the time, yes, that comes from the province. It was something, before that change was made and the jail in Penetang was used, it was supplied the majority of time by the West Grey Police Service. And sometimes it took us to Hamilton to pick up prisoners for youth. Was it London, Bev? Yeah. I think that we had to be back and forth to Blue Water incarceration. I think it was in London. So any of those youth violators, we had to go back and forth from there. So, but today it's predominantly supplied by the province. We do some.
It doesn't cost the municipality anything?
Yeah, it probably does cost us something. And that's why this agreement's in place to offset. The province said that they would cover prisoner transport, recognizing that some will be still done. It's very hard to quantify, Don, whether, you know, this amount is going to cover off our expenses, or are we going to make a little money on the province on it? But the formula seems to work out that this would compensate us, and I believe the chief has said, yeah, it probably will compensate the expenses that we have on that today. Okay? Any other questions? Seeing none, municipal act notices. Mark, I don't think we have any. That brings us down to adjournment. Almost 25 minutes ahead of the scheduled time, Mr. Turner. Congratulations to you. I'll accept Councillor Mollison's movement to adjourn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have application forms that came to me from Elections Canada, the Canadian government. It's a federal program. For interested youth, they have the Forum for Young Canadians. It's the opportunity to get involved with Elections Canada on Democracy Week in Ottawa, Association for Former Parliamentarians and the Governor General. From what I understand, it's pretty much all paid for by the federal government, and it'll be up to 200 individuals somewhere between the ages of 13 to 19 to go to Ottawa for a week in February or March. But the one for February, the deadline is passed. It was October the 22nd. But the March 8th to 13th is, the early deadline was October 22nd. February 22nd to 27th, the final deadline is February 6th. The final deadline for the one March 8th to 13th is February 20th. And there's another session on February 22nd to 27th. The final deadline is March 6th. The early deadline for those last two are November. Asking young individuals that may be looking for an opportunity to get involved, interested individuals that have some of that governance structure and application. So if you know anybody that is interested in politics, how our democracy works, and obviously would like a week off of school to attend, the information is here at the municipal office for, and the application form, which amazingly is a one-pager. On this, I thought it'd be quite a bit more. But if there's anybody out there, please contact the office here to get yourself signed up and for the opportunity to get involved with our political process. So thank you very much, Adam, for allowing me to get that out there to anybody that would be interested, and for any council member that knows of an interested youth, as I said, between the ages of 13 to 19, to spend a week in Ottawa to better understand, and a great opportunity to travel to the nation's capital. Thanks.